Welcome in to Movin The Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside John Epps. Jerel Hendricks on the board as always here for our Week 4 preview show. John, last week was loaded. We had some big-time matchups, some prizes, some upsets, some blowouts as well. This week is another loaded slate, including some really big region matchups to start region play.
Yeah, really great. We get into region play, and now we get into games that actually really matter for the postseason.
Going to be a lot of fun to keep up with those on this Friday night. As always, guys, be sure to follow us here on Facebook, on Twitter/X, on Instagram, on YouTube, and more at Movin Chains. That's MOVINCHAINS. MovinChains.com is our podcast platform. MovinChains.com is our website. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. You can check us out each and every Tuesday at 7:15 for our weekly preview show. Outside of that, we have coach interviews, player interviews, all kinds of great stuff. Team of the week, player of the week, pick 'em going on all the time. So be sure to follow us all week and all season, all year, really long. But as always, get your Movin The Chains merch. We've got some great Richardson hats right now. Gray front. We've got a black back, a gray back. We also got a black front one up there as well. You can get. We've got some great toboggans here as we start to get into the colder weather. A little bit of crispness in the air. Crispness, not Christmas. Crispness in the air. The last couple of weeks, I got the Movin Chains stickers as well. Order one of those right now. Looks great on your car, your laptop, your water bottle. Get you one of those. Movin The Chains shirts, black shirt, gray shirt, navy blue, pink, whatever you're looking for. We have one for you to rep. And then finally, the Movin The Chains hoodies. We've got a gray front one here like this. We've got kind of a stonish white color as well right here. Order one now. Support the boys. Rock it at the games. We'd love to see you helping us grow this brand and grow high school football here in the state. That's what we're really all about here. But going to be a great week as always. We'll start off with our Kona games of the week here in a minute. But Jerel, any comments from the chat? There we go. Courtney, appreciate you being in here, buddy. Great to see you. Big win for your Bears last week. Tony says, what about the Powdersville Patriots? Can't answer on the facts. The Patriots are playing great football. Big win last week. They took that week 0 loss to Seneca, have been on a, quite a run since then. Wolfman says, great games last weekend. North Augusta, Strom, Thurman, and South Pointe Northwestern lived up to the hype. They certainly did. I was over at D3. It was a fantastic ball game there between two Rock Hill rivals. Brandon, good to see you, man. Yes, it was a great game last week. South Pointe certainly can make a claim to be the best team in the state. They are really good. Ryan says, Catawba Ridge, Fort Mill made a classic this week. Don't sleep on Fort Mill. They've got some dogs. That's a team that's played really good this year. They are undefeated still. They are looking the part. We'll find out in the next couple weeks. They've got some big hitters coming up, but that's going to be a fun game over there in that part of the state for sure. Zach says, good evening. Tough one this week for the challenge. Yeah, Clinton and Daniel going to be a fun one as well. Zach, appreciate you hopping in here as always on a Tuesday. JD, good seeing you, man. Shout out from A-Town. Appreciate you. Bulldog says, tough loss for Strong Thurman, back better than before. Yeah, that's what's so great, Bulldog. In South Carolina, these non-region matchups don't really matter. I mean, the playoffs, nothing to do with it all. So the Rebels will be just fine. Chris, good seeing you, buddy. Appreciate you joining us as always. Dion says, Strom Thurman in the building. They've got a big one against Emerald this week. That's a sneaky good Emerald team as well. So that'll be a interesting match to see how they bounce back. Travis, thank you for joining us, buddy. Appreciate you as always. Ruddy says, salute it. The Tigers are on fire, John. Big win over Chester last Friday night. Mark says, Ridgeview has something about 5A Upstate. I like Ridgeview. They lost a couple tough ones to Northwestern and Dutch Fork. Came back, hammered a good Camden team last week. The Blazers are the real deal, Mark. Thank you for joining us, buddy. Patrick says, breaking news, Javon Gilmore no longer a part of the Gaffney football team. Banks Boughton named the starter. Interesting there, Patrick. We had heard some rumblings this week about that. I guess it is out there now in the news. Interesting decision there. It's been a wild start to the season for Gaffney with that quarterback situation, but I guess it's kind of figured out now how that's going to go. Jesse Bryant, Big Irmo. Those boys are looking good, Jesse. They certainly are. Great win against Carolina Forest last week. Armani says, go Blue Eagles. Clover, great win over York in a rivalry matchup last Friday as well. Armani, appreciate you joining us as always. I think that's it, Jerel. Let's take a look now at our Kona games of the week. 5 of the biggest games across the state, John. Let's start with the 1A matchup, and one that could potentially be for a region title. These are 2 of the better teams in that region each and every year, and that's Johnsonville. The Flashes at 3-1, traveling to take on Lakeview at 2-1. Last week, Johnsonville, a tough loss to Walkamaw, 40-13. Lakeview, a last-minute loss, 22-18, to a really good Scotts Branch team, it seems like here. Johnsonville, quarterback Larkin Powell had a touchdown last week. They got a running back, Zach Davis and Jay McFadden. Receiver Takari Ross had 3 for 108. He's electric outside for them. Defensively, Jameer Ross, he's a good two-way player. Lakeview, quarterback Chase Price. Running back Jalen Clark had 3 touchdowns last week. Defensively, led by Landon King. I mentioned they gave up that late touchdown with 1:13 left. John, this is a matchup we saw twice last year. In the regular season, Lakeview beat Johnsonville 37-0. They come back and play round 2 of the playoffs. Lakeview squeaks by 21-14. Do you think Lakeview can make it 3 in a row over Johnsonville, or do Coach Cribb's Flashes have something to say about that?
I expect Lakeview to win this game. I think they're in a better position right now. Both coming off of losses. Both are good teams looking to get that bounce back. I like Lakeview being at home, and Johnsonville losing that game to Walkman. I mean, they got pounded last week. Yeah, and that's a 3A school. That's a Walkman program. They were good
on the rise. I feel like
they were good at the end of last year. We'll see how they are this year, but that they had a tough time with Georgetown the week before. Georgetown's not very good. That's what scares me about Johnsonville. I think they'll be right when it comes time for the playoffs, but I think right now Lakeview's the better team and they're at home. I like the Wild Gators to win this one. I've learned my lesson. I'm not writing off Johnsonville once the leaves start to turn colors and we get into the playoffs, but right now I got to go Lakeview on this one.
In that Lakeview loss last week, Scotts Branch had a lot of success through the air. Their quarterback Conyers had a big game. And I don't think Johnsonville can replicate that. Like, they want to run the football. They don't want to sling it around the yard. So that doesn't match up super well. But then on the flip side, Johnsonville, they gave up 329 on the ground to Walkman. And we know Lakeview wants to run the football. You mentioned the big game from Jalen Clark last week. The Wild Gators want to get it done on the ground. I think, honestly, if this game was at Johnsonville, I'd probably lean the Flashes. But going over playing at Lakeview, not an easy place to play. I do want to say, I think after a little bit of a down year last year, I think Johnsonville's back. I think Coach Cribb's bunch is ready to make a deep run again. This is a team that people forget, John. They back-to-back lower state 1A champs a couple years ago, and they lost just to Christ Church in the state title. Like they were the last public school team remaining. Yeah. So they played some really good football lately here for Coach Cribb. I think they're back this year. I like both of these teams. I don't think either one are necessarily state title good right now. Doesn't mean they can't get there. But honestly, talking through this, I think I flipped my pick. I'm going to go Johnsonville. I think the Flashes on the road. I like Davis in the backfield. I like Larkin Powell. Multi-year starting out quarterback, plays some good football for Coach Cribb. I think Johnsonville goes on the road and wins this game. But I think it could be low scoring, a quick game, a lot of ground attack on both sides. But should be a fun 1A matchup. Like I said, could potentially be for the region title. These are two really good teams down there in that part of the state. Jerel, what do you like in this 1A matchup here? What's the chat saying about this game?
Man, I think that's a first where you flip the pick while you're making the pick. So that's pretty interesting there. That
Wheels are turning.
That just shows how tight this matchup is. It's going to be a good 1A matchup, like you said. Could be a potential region title type game. I like Lakeview too. I'm going to go with John. I think Lakeview gets the edge for playing at home. I do like that. But again, these are two of the better coaches, two of the better programs. Again, I think they're fringe state title, contenders. Two very good programs, but just give me a Lakeview at home. That's the deciding
and part of
factor
that for me is like just looking back to last year. Obviously, you can't compare everything like that, but Johnsonville gave them all they could handle in the playoffs there in round 2 on the road. I think this Johnsonville group is better than last year. Yeah, and I think Lakeview right now is a little bit down. You lose a guy like Tyrell Foxworth, you lose your quarterback from last year. I don't know. Like I like this Johnsonville bunch. I think they'll give them a good run on Friday night.
Yeah, I agree. And it's something where you see, they're gaining some momentum. Johnsonville building back to what they were. And that's tough. You're playing for state championships. That just doesn't happen, every single year. So it's really cool, especially at this level, unless you're Abbeville. So, it's really cool to see that bunch playing much better football.
For sure. Any comments from the chat on this big-time game here, Jerel? Dion says 28-21 Johnsonville. That's kind of what I'm thinking, like a 7-point game there. Montrevi says, what's up, fellas? Salute in the build. Salute is playing good football, man. They are rolling right now. Another big win on Friday. Jerel says Big Bamberg. Those boys for Coach Crosby are hot, playing great right now. I got a tough one against Woodland this Friday night.
That's all we have on this game so far. Got a question if you guys want to answer it. Since
Jesse says, what do y'all think about Pillion High football? Pillion's playing great. You know, they were undefeated going into last week, played a solid Swansea bunch that was also undefeated. Swansea beat them by maybe a point. I know it was less than one touchdown. Really close game there. You know, we had Coach Helms on offseason, talked about what he was bringing to the program. A toughness for sure that Pillion is certainly, showing so far this year. I like what the Panthers are doing. I like where that program is headed. Any thoughts from you, John or Jerel, on that?
Yeah, I think they're making major strides. You know, this is a Pillion program. Last year, we really didn't talk about. There wasn't a whole lot to talk about. And here early in the year, they've won a couple games. They were very competitive Friday against a really good Swansea team. I think they've got a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, same thing. Like meeting with Coach Helms over the offseason. You know, go back to watch that interview. It was awesome. You know, just seeing what he's going to be able to bring, former offensive lineman. So, you know, he's bringing that mentality to really get after it. Got a lot of community support too. He mentioned that with the program there. So I think they're in line to do some big things. We've already seen the improvement, which is exciting to see. But that's all we have. Let's go to the next game, guys.
Our second Kona game of the week. This one is exciting here, John. A big time 5A matchup. Greenwood, the Eagles at 3-0, traveling to take on the 2-1 TL Hanna Yellow Jackets to kick off region play. John, Greenwood, another thrilling late game win last week. They scored late to defeat Lexington 36-30. TL Hanna, a kind of surprising win to me over Wren, 40-27. Last year, Greenwood won this one 25-21, a close matchup there. John, what do you like in this matchup? This is a game that, you know, a couple of years ago we'd say, hey, both teams want to run the ball. It's a lot of heavy option, a lot of wing T type stuff. This isn't your dad's Greenwood anymore. They're airing it out. They're slinging it around. Tristan Lewis at quarterback, the great athlete there, is getting it done through the air, man. So what do you like in this matchup? Eagles and Yellow Jackets going at it here in region play.
Yeah, well, one, I really like Tristan Lewis.
Hard not to, isn't it?
Yeah, he's smooth back there. He's smooth, good with the ball. He's going to play big time on Saturdays as well. But yeah, TL Hanna, you talked about the Yellow Jackets. Really impressive game last weekend against Wren. Did not expect them. I thought the game would be a kind of coin flip game. They won by 2 scores, put up 40 points. That's back-to-back weeks they put up 40 plus. I think we're going to see some points on Friday night in this game because Greenwood, they've got the best athlete on the field with Lewis back there at quarterback. I think they're going to put up some points. They've done it all year to this point. They'll put up some points. I think TL Hanna's going to put up some points as well. I like Greenwood a little bit more. I think Greenwood's a little bit better of a football team. Playing at TL Hanna, we've been in that stadium. It's a good environment.
Lights going. Going.
Yeah. There's no lack of technology in the building there. It's a cool environment. It should be a packed house. It will be a tough place to go get a win, but this is a game where I think Greenwood's got to protect the football first and foremost, because you can't get behind, let TL Hanna get the ball, and then shorten the game, take the air out of it. But I like Greenwood to win this game. I like their offense a lot. I expect to see a lot of points in this one, though.
Last week for Greenwood, Tristan Lewis, a Super 75 selection, South Carolina commitment, went 22 for 38, 287 and a touchdown through the air, another 17 rushes for another 100 yards and a touchdown. Running back Trey Crawford has come on strong for them. He's gone 13 for 87 for 2 touchdowns last week. Receivers, Jay Duncan, 9 for 105. He's been really good this year. Has had a big season so far. And Desiree Christian, 6 for 128 and a touchdown. They are spreading it to multiple weapons right now on offense. Love what they're doing there. Defensively led by Bryce Seaborn and Demarion Roman. Like I mentioned, back-to-back games now with late scores to win. That Dorman comeback was one for the ages, and obviously the win again last week over Lexington. TL Hanna, quarterback Gavin Magan runs the show for them. Kind of a running back by committee as always for them. You know, Amari Nance last week, 14 for 104 and 4 touchdowns. Elijah Grimes also had 84 yards. Also get carries out of Thomas Williams and Jalen Watson. Tight end linebacker Walker Kelly is a really good player for them. He's a weapon through the pass, through the air game as well for them. Defensively, Kevon Cole had 6 tackles, 3 TFLs. Zy West, 7 tackles, a TFL. Carson Cole, 7 tackles. And Jamirian Oliver, 6 tackles. I'm really high on this Greenwood team. You almost worry, though, John, at some point, do all these late second comebacks, all these big games, does that kind of wear on you? Because the Dorman game obviously was a huge game. We knew that going into it. It may have been one of our games of the week, actually. I think it was. It's such a big matchup there. They come back, late second win, last second win there. It takes a lot of energy. Last week, you play a Lexington team that is, improving, but not to their level, I wouldn't think. You've seen that Lexington group get beat by North Augusta pretty handily, get beat by Midland Valley pretty handily, and you got to score late to beat them. That gives me a little bit of worry there that maybe, this Greenwood team is kind of been through the ringer already, and they're almost a little bit. They just need a bye week, or just kind of need an easy game here, and that's not what they're going to get this Friday against TL Hanna.
Yeah, they gotta get better defensively.
Mm-hmm.
That's the common theme in this. It's not a 21-14 kind of game. They're high scoring games, and I was following the Lexington game a little bit last week, and it was just I didn't have any video feed of it, but following it online, I mean, it seemed like they were going back and forth. Got to figure out a way to get stops, and maybe in this TL Hanna game, maybe that works out a little bit better for them with the offense that TL Hanna runs, keeping it on the ground. Not that they can't strike fast, but maybe that more of a ground pace, a little bit of a slower game will benefit them. I'm not worried about them getting worn out by the close games. What I'm more worried about is them just not making enough stops. Because you can have a game where the offense just doesn't click. That happens. Just like basketball, you can be a great team, and some nights you just don't have your shot.
Shots don't fall.
If you don't want to have one of those games and then your defense can't make a stop. So that's more my concern is, can the defense get enough stops if the offense isn't clicking like they have been right out the gates here these first 3 games of the year?
I do have a stat here on TL Hanna that if there are any TL Hanna fans in the chat, definitely let me know if this is correct, because from the notes that I've seen, John, and this is very surprising to me, they played 3 games now, and they're 2-1 in these 3 games. But TL Hanna has not scored a point in the first quarter yet.
Ooh.
And that's very intriguing to me, because you feel like if you play a team like Greenwood and Tristan Lewis breaks a long run, breaks a long pass to Duncan, whatever it is, you go down 14 in the first quarter, that's tough for TL Hanna to come back from with the way they play offense. That worries me there. So interesting stat I saw there, they are not scored or not cracked the scoreboard yet in the first quarter. So I'm going to go Greenwood. I think Lewis and company on offense is too much. I think they win this football game. Should be a fun one. Coach Tone and Coach Liner really do a good job on both sides there. But I'm going to go Eagles, moving to 4-0. I think you're doing the same here, John. Jerel, what do you like here in this 5A region matchup? I think that's Region 1 in 5A, I believe.
Yeah, the crazy thing about this one is I was leaning Greenwood like you guys. I'm really high on this Greenwood team, but you convinced me. I'm going to take TL Hanna in this game. I think I'm going to take them because as much as I like the Greenwood offense right now, I don't like that defense. And it seems like TL Hanna starting to click on offense, and it may be triple option. It may be they can score in a hurry, because if you miss one assignment, they can house it. They got stifled against Burns first of the year. I think that's a product of, you have all off season to kind of prepare for that. It's a little bit harder.
D-line at Burns too.
Yeah. And it's a little bit harder to prepare for this offense in a week. So give me TL Hanna in a close one. They're going to win it by a point. I like them also playing at home. So, and it's also just always fun to pick against you guys, but should be a fun, fantastic ball game.
Pretty wise pick too.
Yeah. What is the chat saying about this one, Jerel, between Greenwood and TL Hanna? Brandon says he'll take Greenwood 42-28. Thinks Greenwood's a top 5 team in 5A. Stay tuned for our polls, Brandon. We may think the same thing. Dion says 45-35 Greenwood. Chris says Greenwood by 14. Dion, Midland Valley beat Lexington on 95-yard touchdown pass, less than a minute left. Yeah, Xavier Jeter, the big completion there for the Mustangs to win that one. Wolfman Greenwood wins 21-20. Bradley, what's up, fellas? Good seeing you, Bradley. Appreciate you joining us here as always, buddy. Hoping for TL Hanna, but Greenwood's going to be tough, Bradley says. Yes, certainly will be. I think both these teams are good football teams, well coached, a lot of good athletes. Should be a fun matchup on Friday. Terrence, what's up, guys? Hampton County. Appreciate you joining us, man. Another big one for Hampton County this week against Hilton Head, I believe. Malcolm Doe says, big NA. Malcolm, appreciate you joining us, buddy. Huge win for the Yellow Jackets last Friday.
That's all we have on this game. Should be a lot of fun, so let's go to the next one.
Our third Kona game of the week, John. A fun rivalry matchup here. A non-region game here, actually. Fairfield Central, 3-1, traveling to take on the 4-0 Newberry Bulldogs. Fairfield Central, they escaped with a 29-22 win over Louisville last week. They're working on stuff at quarterback, John. They're playing a couple different guys. Kamari Jones, Caden Diggs, both getting snaps for them there. Running back Kenyon Douglas did go 16 for 127 and a touchdown. Receivers Dre Walker and Taquaria Shannon. Defensively, Owen Wilson, 15 tackles, 2 TFLs. Kalen Colt, 15 tackles. And Chance Hiphill, 12 tackles at TFL. And Drew Walker and Antonio Gunn, also 10-plus tackles. So they were all over the field, those guys were, for the Griffins. On the Newberry side, another big win, 45-22 over Chapin. Quarterback Kenton Caldwell, 400-plus total yards, 5 touchdowns. I believe he now has 21 touchdowns in the season through 4 games, John. He is getting it done on the ground and through the air. Really good dual threat there for Coach Jeter. Receiver Jameer Crooks had a big game. 9 catches, 195, 3 touchdowns. Also had a pick and a PBU. They've got tight end Jamel House, a South Carolina commit, a Super 75 guy for us. Defensively, LeBron Lyles, Caden Goff, Julian Sin have all played well for that group on that side of the football. Last year, John, Fairfield Central won this football game 49-42. These guys are a 2A, 3A, different classes there, but really I think they are similar football teams in the fact that they're both going to be physical and athletic. This is going to be a fun one, I think, down there in Newberry on Friday night.
Yeah, you got 2 teams that are, it's a 2A and 3A matchup, but they're big. They are big. As you can say, they play physical because they can. They can push people around. It's going to be an aggressive game. I expect some good hard hits. It'll be a really fun game to go to and go watch. I'm putting a lot of weight on what happened last week. Fairfield Central, as good as Louisville is, it scares me that they got out of that game winning by 7. And it sounds like they might got pretty fortunate.
Louisville had a real shot to win that game. Fairfield Central got a couple breaks that helped them in that one. But, yeah, it was tight. It was tight.
And I've seen Louisville play, and Louisville is a good team. They've got a lot of really good team speed, especially on the offense. But when I look at, if I compare Louisville to Newberry, it's a lot different. Newberry they've got some good speed too, but they've got good size.
Very big.
And Newberry just seems to have everything. It seems like they were kind of trying to find their way at times last year. Right now, it seems like they are dialed in. I like the Bulldogs. I think they've got a potentially really special season ahead of them. They're at home as well. I think this will be a competitive game, a good game to be at. But I like Newberry, and I expect Newberry to win by 10.
Yeah, this is one of those where, it's the old saying, huge rivalry, throw out the record books, doesn't matter, yada, yada. I mean, I think Newberry's a better football team. Newberry has not scored less than 41 points this year. I think that trend probably continues. I think the Bulldogs win. I agree with you. I think they're just a better football team right now than what Fairfield Central is. I think Coach Jeter's bunch moves to 5-0. I like that team a lot, just like you do, John. Jerel, what do you like in this matchup, Newberry, Fairfield Central?
Well, we haven't said anything stupid about a rivalry game, recently or anything like that. So I'll try not to. But Newberry here, I like them. I like them to win this football game. They're just clicking offensively. Yeah. I really, really like what they're doing there. They seem to have figured something out. And as it goes, Fairfield Central is physical, but I just don't think they'll be able to keep up with the pace. And you'll see it in the comments. We got a lot of Clinton fans who have turned into Newberry fans after watching how good this team has been this year.
I mean, I had somebody tell me a week or so ago that Newberry's the biggest 3A team they've ever seen up front, especially. So they've got some real good size there. Tough for Fairfield Central to match up with that. Zach says Newberry by 21. He likes them big. Dion says 49-10 Newberry. Offense too explosive. That's kind of how I'm feeling too. Newberry 49-21 says Brandon. Thinks Newberry will go undefeated regular season, make a deep run in the playoffs. Don't know if they can get by Oceanside. Yeah, Lower State 3A is going to be a lot of fun, I think, when we get to the playoffs here in a little bit. Brandon, Newberry by 28 says David Caldwell. I don't want to say that because that looks bad if we do say that, but that's kind of what I'm leaning is kind of that 17 to 28 range there. Wolfman says Newberry gets it done.
Careful on the predictions, but that's all the comments we got on this game, guys.
Perfect. Well, let's look now at our fourth Kona game of the week. South Pointe at 3-1, taking on AC Flora, undefeated. Guys, before we get into this game, I think we got to bring everybody on the screen, Jerel. I'm glad you're here already. Hand up. We missed this South Pointe game last week. That was bad, and we deserve this for that.
Who'd you pick?
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Always a thrilling matchup here over in Football City, USA, John. We've got South Pointe at 2-1, taking on undefeated 3-0 Northwestern. Can South Pointe slow down Northwestern enough to win this football game? I think is really key to me.
I think the South Pointe defense is going to be able to keep them in this ball game. I'm not sure the South Pointe offense is going to be dynamic enough to score enough points to win this game. I think there's just a little bit too much for Northwestern offensively for South Pointe to be able to keep up.
I think, South Pointe, they have enough athletes on defense to make some stops, but you feel like if the Stallions want to win this football game, they still got to score at least 28, and I'm not sure if they can get there right now. So I like Northwestern as well. I think they just have too much fire. Jerel, what do you like? John and I are both going the Trojans here over at D3 on Friday.
Yeah, I may sound stupid here again, but this might be the easiest pick of the week for me. Like, I'm going Northwestern. Just give me Northwestern here. I think this one has the potential to kind of get out of hand. I think they win it big.
What an idiot! Jesus Christ!
12 to 4.
Who'd you pick?
The wrong team, I tell you.
Oh, boys, yeah, we deserve that, man. Hats off to Coach Collins and the boys. Huge win last Friday against Northwestern. The Stallions looked apart, man, and that was great. I love him calling us out in the post-game interview. I was like, you know what, Coach, you're right. I picked the wrong team. So hats off to those boys, man. The Stallions looked apart last Friday.
Man, they earned it.
Most definitely. Yeah, let's break this one down. Yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely picking South Pointe this week. We'll say that.
Like we mentioned last week, South Pointe, a 27-23 win over Northwestern. Jazavian Current, Super 75 guy, South Carolina commit, had a monster game. 17 for 20 through the air, 196 passing, 2 touchdowns through the air. Also ran it 10 times for $113 and another TD. And then on defense, Sean, 7 tackles, a pick, and 2 pass breakups. Running back R.J. Brown played really good, a rush and a receiving touchdown last week. Receiver Malik Ratcliffe had a big game there, 8 for 127 and a touchdown. Dallin Duncan, Caden Watkins also options out wide for them. Offensive lineman Anthony Baxter is a force. He's a Carolina commit as well. On defense, I mentioned Currents already. KJ Berg, 11 tackles, 4 TFLs. Also big games from Daquan Evans, Bryson Ginn, Zymir Gordon-Miles, and Seth Tillman up front. And then Caden Watkins had the game-sealing pick there late for the Stallions. AC Flora, they rolled over Lawrence 49-0. Quarterback Roper Winsky, a Super 75 guy for us, 21 for 30, 273, 4 touchdowns through the air. On the season, 14 passing touchdowns, just 1 pick so far. Running back Jaquan Williams. Receivers Blake Patet had a touchdown, and then Kendall Bird, 6 for 65 and another touchdown. Defensively, Brandon Williams, 11 tackles at TFL, and then Peyton Bishop and Nazir Walker are playmakers for them as well. John, South Pointe, the only thing you worry about is maybe is it a letdown spot? I don't know, but it just feels like it's hard to beat the Stallions right now.
Yeah, what they did last week was exceptional. That was awesome. And the way they won the game, they went out and they were the better athletes. They went out and they took the game. They won the game. That was impressive. And it's, I sat here last week going, I don't know if the defense can keep up. The defense is good. I don't know much about Huff. I don't know much about West Charlotte. Defense is good. They solidified that. And they're going to have to be good. They're going to have to be good Friday night because we watched that AC Flora Westwood game week 0, and that AC Flora offense is smooth. Winsky does a really good job out there. He's smart. You can tell he knows the play, and the guys are on the same page. It looks very well run, very well put together. They do a very good job. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to move the ball consistency against the Stallions, though. I think South Pointe, is going to win this game. But I think what we're going to learn Friday is how competitive can AC Flora be, how close to the Falcons, because I think they're really good. And I think they're a good 4A team. We'll look at the polls here shortly. If South Pointe blows out AC Flora, that's going to be a tough script for the rest of 4A. I want to say that's going to be a 2 to 3 score game. It could get worse than that. I don't know. It just South Pointe's good everywhere. They're good defensively. They're good offensively. They're well coached. They've proven they can win close games against really good competition. In the spotlight, they're ready for this game. I don't know if AC Flora is. We'll find out a lot about the Falcons on Friday.
And last year, this game was a blowout, John. South Pointe 56-14 won this one. I know we're playing at AC Flora this time, but you mentioned Roper Winsky for the Falcons. He's a guy that's played a lot of football, a lot of experience back there at quarterback. He has seen a lot, but for AC Flora, I feel like one thing I did notice, I wanted to bring up, John. I feel like they had a little bit of trouble covering the running back out of the backfield in those couple games that I've seen of them. I know Angelo Rios had a couple big catches for Westwood in that matchup. So watch out for RJ Brown. Watch out for Zamir Gordon-Miles, maybe on some wheel routes, some flat routes. Out of the backfield could be playmakers for Currents there, good weapons for him heading out of the backfield for passes there. But I just think you were not going to beat South Pointe throwing the football. You're just not. Like what they've got on the back end with Gordon-Miles and Currents and Watkins and that crew, Judge as well. I just think you're going to have to do something besides that. And I know that AC Flora is predicated on throwing the football. I don't think it's going to end well for them. I like South Pointe to win this football game. And like you said, it might be a 2-score, 3-score type margin. I think that defense for them is the real deal. I think they're going to show it again this week. I like South Pointe to win this 4A region contest. Jerel, who do you like in this game here between the Stallions and the Falcons?
Yeah, definitely like South Pointe winning this one. But this is, if there is a letdown spot, this is it. You're coming off a big emotional win, city championship, going on the road, region game. Of course, AC Flora, is got this one circled. But I just think that South Pointe Stallions team is just too good. Right now, they've played so well. My question last week was, could Currents, handle the load at quarterback and then flip around and play defense? Obviously he can.
Not a problem, Jerel.
not a problem at all. So, I like South Pointe to win this game. I do like this Flora team. People are making the point in the comments, and it's a very fair point when you compare the schedules to this point. Obviously, what we've seen out of South Pointe and what they've done with their schedule by comparison to what AC Flora has their competition, it's a lot different. So I like the Stallions here, but I like both of these teams a lot.
Yeah. What's the chat saying? Zach says Coach Collins kept his receipts. Yeah. Hey, and I appreciate that. We've always said, as long as they're watching, that's fine with me. We deserved it for sure. Brandon says, look back, I remember I took South Pointe. Great pick, Brandon. Good pick last week on the show.
I did not.
Brandon says South Pointe wins. Floor is very good on. Don't have it for South Pointe. Agree there. Wolfman, South Pointe gets the dub. Agreed there, Wolfman. Zach says South Pointe big in this one. Who has Flora played? Flora has played Westwood, Chapin, Southside Christian, and Lawrence. Not exactly the same level of competition as the Stallions this week, that's for sure. Malcolm does his Football City. Yes, certainly was. South Pointe also won the city championship on Friday with that win. So they've already now beat Rock Hill and Northwestern. So big win for them on Friday.
Yeah, I think everybody, as they should be, leaning South Pointe in this one. Let's go to the SCISA game, guys.
Our SCISA game of the week, 2 undefeated teams here, John. Dorchester Academy, the Raiders at 3-0 for Coach Nelson, traveling to take on the 5-0 Beaufort Academy squad for Coach Schuford there. Dorchester, a 28-14 win over Patrick Henry. Beaufort blanked Lee 41-0. Beaufort quarterback Nick Schuford, 10 for 14, a touchdown, 119 yards passing, also 40 rushing, another touchdown on the ground. Nick Underwood, 19 for 186 and 4 TDs. Defensively, Jace Polk and Underwood, both with picks for that group. On the Raiders side, quarterback John Quattlebaum, running back John Wetzel, receiver tight end Abe Schuler and Noah Risher. Defensively led by Warren Judy, Braley Sievert, and Will Quattlebaum. The Raiders have a bunch of guys, John, who have played a lot of football. I mean, we've said these names for years now with Quattlebaum and Wetzel and Schuler. These guys have gotten it done for a while. Last year, Dorchester won a low-scoring affair 16-6. I think this game has 2 of the better running backs in SCISA with Wetzel and Underwood going at it. Who do you like in this matchup? Two undefeated teams that both plan to be there at the very end this year.
Yeah, I think this is an evenly matched up game as you can have. I think we're going to see something very similar to what we saw last year, but I'm going to go with the home team. I like the home team to get this one. I know Dorchester was at home last year. They got the win. I'm going with Beaufort at home this year, getting the win this time around.
I think that's a good pick there. Schubert is playing really good under center. He's doing a good job protecting the football, smart completions, easy completions there. And then Underwood is just so explosive, 186, 4 touchdowns, super impressive. But if you're in Dorchester, you want to get an early lead and just milk that clock with Wetzel. I know Quattlebaum, I think, threw a couple touchdowns last week, but not really what they want to do. They want to run it. But going to be a fun game. I'm going to take Dorchester on the road just because, no real reason. I think both teams are good. Both teams are pretty even there. I'm going to go Wetzel. I think Wetzel and Quattlebaum get it done for Coach Nelson there. I like the Raiders to stay undefeated, but a matchup we certainly are looking forward to on Friday night. Jerel, who do you like in this SCISA matchup? Anything from the chat before we move on?
Yeah, for sure. I'm going with you on this one. Definitely think Dorchester's going to be able to go on the road. Going to be another slugfest, though, man. This seems like a heavyweight type matchup. Going to be a lot of fun between these two teams. Let's go in the comments here. Got nothing on this game in particular, so if you want me,
doing a shout out right quick. We actually did meet a Dorchester alum a couple weeks back in Clemson. John and did, so shout out to him. Appreciate you tuning in, buddy. Go Raiders for that. But yeah, go ahead with some other comments, Jerel, if you got some here. Dion says 49-7 South Pointe. That would be quite a statement there.
Yeah, Dennis.
I believe it.
Yeah, Dennis, we'll get to Riverside Dorman here in a little bit, and Allie, of course, we'll get to the Wilson game as well, so we'll definitely take on that one.
Perfect. Well, let's shout out some friends of the program. Actually, first, let's recap our Kona games of the week. Once again, we had Johnsonville at Lakeview, Greenwood at TL Hanna, South Pointe at AC Flora, Fairfield Central at Newberry, and then Dorchester Academy at Beaufort Academy. If you missed us talking about those games, you can go back once the show is over. It'll be live here on Facebook and on YouTube. You can go back and check it out. You can go listen to all that discourse there on our 5 Kona games of the week. But, Jerel, let's shout out some friends of the program before we start going through the rest of the statewide slate.
Everyday life means everyday expenses. Spend smarter with a Founders Federal Credit Union credit card, offering you low rates and big rewards where it matters most. Enjoy all the benefits of saving while using your Founders Essential MasterCard. Make every swipe and tap count with smart rates, big rewards on select cards, and no balance transfer or annual fees. Because your money should go where you want it to. That's the power of Founders Federal Credit Union. Apply today at foundersfcu.com. Relax. You're with Founders.
With 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville, Carolina Orthopaedic and Neurosurgical Associates, Kona offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. Go to kona.care to learn more.
All right, John, let's take a look at the rest of the statewide slate. Let's start in the 5A ranks and go through all of those matchups we will have this week.
Yeah, nice game down on the Grand Strand. Carolina Forest hosting Ashley Ridge.
Ashley Ridge, I feel like, has played a lot of big games already this year. Just 2-2. They lost to Oceanside. Lost to, I believe it was Stratford, I think. Stratford
that sounds right.
One or the other. But Carolina Forest tough loss to Irmo last week. But both teams have some offensive firepower for sure.
Yeah, that'll be a fun game. Jerel will travel to River Bluff.
Watch out. Jerel has already beat a 5A team and a 4A team. Also took a really good Marlboro County team to the brink a couple weeks back. River Bluff, a big win last week for Coach Parks. Just don't sleep on the Braves. They're a good football team. They're a little bit banged up right now. May not have the depth they need this week in this matchup, but not a team you can take lightly. I know you watched a lot of that game last week, John, but the Braves are the real deal.
Yeah, I like that Jerel team. I like the way they finished off that game against Darlington on Friday. I got to see the end of that game. That was impressive. The rivalry game here, Hillcrest will travel to Malden.
Yeah, quick stats here. The Golden Strip Derby, the Rams have won 12 straight to take a 36-34 series lead over Malden. Both teams have been playing good ball at 2-1. Going to be a fun one to start region play over at Freeman Field. Shout out to our friend Jeff Smalk for the stats. He does a great job every week with Hillcrest stats there, so appreciate him getting us that one. But that'll be a fun game. It's been a long time since both the teams have been above 500 when they played, I'm sure. So that'll be a fun one with two teams at 2-1 on Friday.
Absolutely. Another little bit of a rivalry game here in Blythewood. We'll have the Blythewood Bengals. They'll be hosting Westwood.
Westwood how good are they, guys? Because they're a team that we saw lose to AC Flora week 0, John. They turned around and won 3 in a row.
Yeah.
I think Coach Burst got those guys heading in the right direction. They're playing good football right now.
And maybe AC Flora's that good. Well, we're going to find out Friday.
Yeah.
2 teams that we know that are pretty good. Dutch Fork will travel to Oceanside.
Dutch Fork, a better performance last week against Gray Collegiate than they'd had the last couple of weeks. It felt like a little bit shaky early on, but really kind of opened it up late there for Coach Knotts.
Sumter will be hosting Spring Valley. That was a Sumter game. Sumter I watched last week against Crestwood, and I was impressed with Sumter.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with them. They played some good ball. I undersold them a little bit. They're better than I thought they were. They're still going to be a tough squad this year. Greenville travels to Woodmont. Fort Mill, 4-0 Fort Mill, traveling to Catawba Ridge.
I mean, this is a game we thought about putting as game of the week. Like it's a big matchup here. Fort Mill, 4-0, playing really good football. I love Gray Patterson for that group there. Coach McNeely's doing a good job for them. Catawba Ridge, we know what they've got with Joshua Dobson on defense. Casey Fickus, I think, had 3 picks last week for them as well. Coach Lindak's bunch is playing good football. A fun matchup there. I think we'll learn a lot about both teams on Friday and just kind of get a feel for how good they really are.
Yeah, that'll be a good telling game there. White Knoll travels to Cane Bay. Dorman at home against Riverside.
I know somebody asked about this one earlier. I think, yeah, Dennis said, what about Riverside at Dorman? Dorman's playing good football. Their lone loss was a crazy overtime game to Greenwood. You know, Nick Means is running the ball really well for them. The quarterback has came in, Meek Slidell has played good for Coach Morris's bunch as well. Riverside is a team that I cannot get a handle on. They beat what now is a pretty solid Malden team back in week 1 by 2 scores. But since then, they got shut out by Greenville and then lost on a last-second field goal to Christ Church. I was kind of talking up Riverside preseason, John, that they could make a nice little playoff run with what they had coming back with Samad Edie, Speedy Taylor, Gideon Merribb there at quarterback. And they've not really lived up to that hype yet so far this year. I think Dorman at home wins this football game. Too much ground attack, I think, from Means and company over there for Coach Morris.
Yeah, I think Dorman's the more complete team right now. But, hey, Riverside's got plenty of time to turn around and turn it up during region play. Wando, they'll travel to West Ashley. North Charleston's at home against RB Stall. One of our Kona games of the week, Greenwood on the road against TL Hanna. West Florence will host Lugoff Elgin. First time in a long time, I think Lugoff Elgin should probably win this game.
And I think, John, that's a really important region game too. I think the winner of this has a chance to be maybe hosting a playoff game.
It could come down at the end of the year being a really big deal.
Yeah, I think so.
Loris will be at home against Socastee.
The Lions are rolling. I'm just going to say it. The Lions are rolling. They are smoking everybody right now.
And they should continue to do that Friday. Yeah, I know Socastee's a big-time program, 5A school, but I like Loris.
Mm-hmm.
James Island will travel to St. James. Myrtle Beach is at home against Irmo.
Irmo, another week, another big win. Took down another Horry County squad, Carolina Forest, last week. They're getting better and better. Dobson and White and Miller and that crew on offense. And then obviously the defense, what they're doing with Jade and Bryan and whatnot. They're doing a great job there on both sides of the football for Coach Brand. They're a real deal. They're a legit top 5 program in the state right now. They're doing a great job.
And hats off to that coaching staff and Coach Brand, because not many schools lost as much as they lost last year.
Mm-hmm.
Marlboro County be at home against North Myrtle Beach.
Intriguing game there because Marlboro County, a bit of a slip up. I mean, they beat Conway last week, but a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. I think it was a 1-score matchup there. I know Marlboro County got a couple injuries right now they're working through for Coach Johnson there. I think they'll be just fine. I think they're a really good football team. Their lone losses to a solid Gray Collegiate squad right now, but Marlboro County should win this game. Not sure health-wise if they're all back or not. We'll see how that shakes out, but I like that Bulldogs bunch. I think they've got the talent to go win that football game at least.
They got to play better than they did Friday. If they don't play better than they did Friday, they're probably going to take an L. Nation Ford will be hosting a mad Northwestern group. Good luck to Coach Bentley and the Nation Ford crowd. They are 3-1 though. They're off to a really good start.
Yeah, this will be a region game here. Nation Ford, I mean, they're off to a better start than what they usually get, for sure. The Falcons are certainly building there. You can tell they're getting a little bit better. The quarterback, Knupp, has played really good for them. But like you said, Northwestern, I think they're still a really good football team. Tough loss last week, but doesn't make me think any less of them, I don't think. I think the Trojans are still really solid.
Rock Hill will be hosting Clover, a 3-1 Clover squad.
Yeah, and I want to shout out Clover head coach Perry Woolbright got his 100th win last week in a rivalry win over York. So hats off to Coach Woolbright. Really cool to get to that milestone for him.
Fun to do it in a rivalry game, too. Mm-hmm. Spartanburg will be on the road against a 3-0 Eastside team.
Yeah, big win last week for Eastside over Blue Ridge. I believe Spartanburg had a bye last week, I think, if I'm correct, John. So had a couple weeks.
I believe so. They're sitting at 1-2. Easily will travel to JL Man. JL Man's still looking for their first win of the year. Bluffton is on the road against Lucy Beckham. Indian Land is at home against Parkwood. That's a school out of North Carolina. Gaffney at home against Boiling Springs, a 1-2 Gaffney team. They need a W in a bad way.
Yeah, and Patrick told us earlier about the situation there at quarterback. Sounds like Banks Boughton is going to be the guy moving forward. This is a tough season so far for them. They had a couple injuries as well. Jay McDowell goes down. They had a couple other guys go down, but Dawkins has played well for him in the backfield. You got Banks now, Boughton stepping up at quarterback. We got tons of talent still with Ratchford and Dover and all those guys. I think they will be fine. Boiling Springs has some talent too, though. I love Dennis Glenn up front on defense for them. I love Jeremiah Favorite in the back end, the Michigan State commit. I think this was a thrilling overtime matchup last year I got to see, but I think Gaffney a little bit better. I think they can put it together, coming off a bye, which may be what they needed, actually, and hopefully they come out and get a win this week.
And I think not having the who's going to play quarterback, who's going to play this drive, who's going to play the next drive, I think not having that variable will help Gaffney as well.
Yeah, a little more settled.
For sure. In the Low Country, a good 3-1 Stratford team will host Colleton County. Somerville will be on the road, long road trip. They'll go to Chapin, an 0-4 Chapin team. Expect Somerville to roll in that one.
Mm-hmm.
Burns at home, same situation. They'll be hosting a Wade Hampton team that's 0-3. Expect Burns to win that game. And then to close it out, we'll have Conway hosting Aner. I like Aner in this game, but Conway, hey, if they can do what they did last week, good chance they can get a win.
Yeah, they can hang around. I don't know. It's tough to call that because Aner has been a little bit up and down this year. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, Conway showed some life, which I like to see last week for Coach Pierce's bunch for sure. Any comments from you, Jerel, or the chat on the 5A slate?
Let's keep rolling, guys. Let's go to 4.
Let's look down at 4A now, John. I think we actually got a Thursday game as well, correct?
Yeah, we've got one Thursday night game in 4A. That would be Dreer hosting York. And then on Friday night for the main events, we'll have Hampton County coming off that loss, hosting Hilton Head.
Hilton Head Island is played good football, and kind of maybe revenge is the wrong word, but I know Hilton Head has, I believe it's Javen Risher, a former Hampton County player, had a transfer this offseason there to coach Payne's bunch there. He's played really well for him along with Samaj Robinson and Derek Rezniewski. I think Hilton Head probably wins this football game. Hampton County just playing a couple bigger schools right now. Tough for them to compete on the depth side up against these 4A schools, and they're just a small 2A program.
Yeah, they'll be just fine, though. This will help them in the long run. Darlington will be hosting Laura Richland.
Laura Richland, John, ever since week 0, took the loss to Lugoff Elgin, have played some really good football. They beat a solid Batesburg-Leesville team last week. Coach Taylor's bunch is turned it around, and they're playing well right now. And Darlington, another team that I like a lot. They're only 2-2, but I love the quarterback, Jalen Augustus. Coach Johnson does a fantastic job there. Another program that is on the rise. I think that's a sneaky good 4A game on Friday.
Yeah, that'll be a fun game for sure. Here is a big game with, I think, a non-region game, but still with a lot of pride on the line.
Mm-hmm.
And this needs to be a big win for whoever wins this game. And that's Hartsville traveling to Dillon. That's a 1-2 Hartsville team and a 2-2 Dillon team. I don't know who's going to win this game, but if you're Hartsville, it's going to be tough going 1-3. If you're Dillon, you don't want to be 2-3 5 games into the season either. So a little bit of pressure, I think, on both squads for this one.
Yeah, Hartsville, we said all year is a young bunch. Like they're getting more and more experience, better and better each week. Finally had a nice win over Rock Hill last week. Dillon had a kind of a tale of 2 weeks there. You lose Monday to Wilson, turn around and you smoke Marion on Friday. Obviously a game that you should win by a lot, and they certainly did there. Another group that's got some young pieces, the quarterback, the freshman, is still getting better and better. Going to be a fun game. Always fun when these two teams get together, John. Going to be a lot of fun over there between the white walls at Dillon Memorial on Friday. For sure.
Emerald will be hosting Strom Thurmond.
I'm intrigued by this one. Strom Thurmond, just the lone loss, and that was last week to North Augusta. Had trouble stopping the run game with Doe, but who hasn't, of course, there when they face those guys. Emerald is playing good football. They're 3-1. Their lone losses to a Woodruff team, and that was a game they were up 22-0 and gave up 50 in a row to Woodruff to lose that one. But outside of that, they beat Broome, beat TR, beat 96. I think Emerald's a solid team this year. Interested to see how Strom Thurmond bounces back from that loss last week.
Yeah, I think Strom Thurmond is a really good group in their own right as well. Bishop England will travel to Porter Gaud. Beaufort is at home against Battery Creek. South Aiken will be hosting Brooklyn Casey. St. Joseph's on the road against Fountain Inn.
I think that's a fun game there. Two teams that have shown some offensive firepower already this season. I think Fountain Inn has a chance to win this one with Sam Holliday. They're doing some big things at the quarterback spot. I think the Fury win this one, get to 3-2.
We got an 0-4 Greer squad hosting Berea. South Florence at home against Crestwood.
This was a game, John, here where if we were picking this game before last week, there's a chance I may have picked Crestwood. But after them getting blown out by Sumter, there's no way. I'm going to take the Bruins to win this one. I think they're too big, too physical. I like South Florence to roll here on Friday.
Yeah, and Sumter really imposed, that defensive line really imposed their will on the Crestwood offensive line, and they just really struggled getting anything going offensively. And I think that South Florence defensive line is going to have a strong resemblance to what Crestwood saw last Friday too. Wilson, they will travel to Lakewood on Friday.
Got to shout out Wilson. Got their first win over West Florence since 2019 on Friday night. A 2-win week for them. I mentioned they just beat Dillon on Monday and they beat West Florence, their rival, on Friday. Coach Brian Wilson's team is playing some good football right now.
2 really good wins in 1 week for those guys. Seneca at home against Travelers Rest. West Side, they'll travel to Georgia. They'll play Prince Avenue Christian. I believe that's a pretty good group over there in Georgia.
Yes, typically they are, yes.
Camden on the road against Richland Northeast. We talked about this, one of our Kona games of the week. AC Flora hosting a red-hot South Pointe Stallion team. We've got North Augusta hosting Gilbert.
North Augusta off of the big win over Strom Thurmond. They get into region play now. I think this is their second region game. I want to say they actually played somebody 2 weeks ago in a region, maybe South Aiken, maybe or something like that. And they beat South Aiken region play 2 weeks ago. So their second region game now for Coach Bush's bunch. Played really well. Obviously, when you got Michael Doe right there running the football, it's hard not to play well. He's a stud in the backfield for them. The quarterback, the offense got going pretty well. Defense played really well, it felt like, too. Love the D-line with McKinnis and Jones there. Dion says they're a dark horse for state. I think they can certainly make a deep run, Dion. I like this bunch a lot. I think they beat Gilbert on Friday at home at the Jackets Nest.
I think so, too. I think they've got there's certainly a team to watch for the rest of this year if you're not already watching them. We've got Pickens hosting Blue Ridge. Game that I think I'm going to watch on Friday, Midland Valley hosting Gray. That's a 3-0 Midland Valley squad.
Really intriguing. Midland Valley's had a couple games where they had to come from behind late, Blythewood and Lexington, to win those matchups, but they're playing good on offense. Xavier Jeter has been electric for Coach Dorn's bunch there. Gray Collegiate, don't have a good feel for them yet. A team that I felt really good about going into the year. A lot of firepower, Trayvon Williamson, Azari Gant, Tyler Waller at quarterback. Have not quite played up to their potential yet for Coach Bryant's bunch, it feels like. I think they'll get better as the season goes, but this is a big region matchup here between these two. Two of the teams that want to compete to win that region, you get it going here pretty early. So it should be a fun one on Friday, John. Wolfman says low-key, good game. Yeah, it is certainly a big game. I like the way this is going. Going to be a fun one here between those two 4A foes.
Southside, they'll host Carolina High. And then the last game for 4A, we'll see Clinton hosting Daniel.
Clinton has just played a murderer's row non-region so far this year. They got a nice win in overtime over Chapman last week. Daniel, off of a bye week, I believe, another team that has not played their best football yet, and we know it's probably going to come at some point. Going to be an intriguing matchup to see if Clinton can hang around. I think Daniel probably has too much offensive firepower. Going to be tough for Clinton to cover all those weapons and keep up on offense as well. I think Daniel wins it, but I'm intrigued to see how that one turns out on Friday. Jerel, any 4A comments from you or the chat? Or John as well? Sorry, I kind of cut you off there as well.
Oh, I was just going to say, too, no matter how the game goes, two really storied programs playing on that one.
No doubt. Dion says Midland Valley 24-21 on Friday. Danny says congratulations to Luke Thayer, offensive lineman last week for South Florence Bruins. They've always got a bunch of stud offensive linemen, Danny. Great point there. That's what Coach Marlowe kind of builds this program around, is that offensive line. And Luke is one of the best. Appreciate you shouting that one out there. Brandon says, give me everyone on the upset. Solid team. I agree with Kevin. Thank you, Brandon. Yeah, they're getting better. It feels like the Vikings are a good group this year. Jonathan says, go Red Foxes. Always a fun game, Jonathan. Hartsville and Dillon getting after it.
I want to pop in, man. When have we not had that game? When's the last time that has not been a game of the week for us? Like I was just thinking about that. Like
as John read it, I was thinking about the stats back where Deshaun Anderson and you got all of our guys, McKendry Douglas out there. I mean, Cornelius McDaniel, and you go Jamarian Fling and Ty Martin, and just that's been a big game for a long time. But this week or this year, I guess the records didn't quite deserve game of the week status, but that's a fun one.
For sure. Let's go to 3A, guys.
Let's look down to the 3A ranks now, John.
Yeah, we'll start in the upstate. Liberty hosting Walhalla. Woodruff 4-0 still. They'll host Chesney on Friday night.
This is intriguing to me here. I've been kind of pumping this Chesney team for a while. I think they are really improved under Coach Chappell. I like what he is building there. I think Chesney has a chance to make a deep run this year. I like where they're going. I think Woodruff a little too deep, a little too big for this Chesney group, but I like Evan Reese Lauder. I like the receiver Braylon Blanton a lot. Defensively, Goss's a good player for the Eagles as well. But Woodruff with Gibson and Taylor and Moats, and then quarterback Connor Davis just getting better and better each week. I think Coach Sloan's bunch wins this football game, but I think Chesney's a program that is on the rise. I think they're going to make some noise this year for sure. Yeah,
we'll certainly see how close they are to the top this Friday, because that's a Woodruff team that's going to be around very late in the playoffs this year. 4-0 Orangeburg Wilkinson off to another good start. They'll travel to Keenan on Friday.
Yeah, some really good athletes in this one. Hunter O'Neill for Keenan, of course, and Jordan Avenger, the Arkansas commit for Orangeburg Wilkinson, going at it. Going to be a fun matchup there with Coach Carter and Coach Neely boys going at it.
Christ Church will be at Chapman.
If you're Chapman, you got to be very excited to get out of non-region play. Like, they've played some big boys, man. They played Daniel. They played Bowling Springs. They played Clinton last week. I mean, they've got to be excited to get back into that region there. And I think they're good. Like, I think they're a solid football team. Like I said, they've played some tough competition so far. I think they're happy to get down back into the 3A ranks to play Christ Church. Not a region game this week, but back in the 3A ranks will be good for them. But Christ Church, coming off of a nice win over Riverside 2 weeks ago on the walk-off field goal. I like what Coach Hatfield's bunch has got this year. Tons of athletes with Atkins and Martin and Hall. Barnett up front is playing good for them. I think Christ Church is really good, but I think Chapman is improved as well. Should be a fun game in 3A. Zach says Chapman offense changed for the first 2 weeks, so we had to make adjustments in the game. They had a big running game from Copeland, I believe it was, for Chapman on Friday. So Coach Cab and the boys are making some changes there and trying to improve, and they certainly played well on Friday night, it felt like.
A team that's playing very good for the last few years, Belton Honeypath hosting Palmetto.
One of our teams of the week smoked rival Westside last Friday night. They're playing great on both sides of the football, John.
Two teams that could use a win Friday. Chester hosting Union. Both those squads 1-3. You like the Cyclones in this game, but not the start to the year they have been hoping for.
Yeah, Chester, a tough loss to Saluda. I thought they'd have a chance to win that football game. Weren't ever really in it. It didn't feel like Union had a big win over Blacksburg last week. Interesting to see if which one of the teams comes out on top.
96 is at home against Crescent. Silver Bluff will host Lincoln County out of Georgia. Barnwell will welcome in Swansea. That'll be a fun game there. West Oak at home against Landrum. Broome will travel to Powdersville.
I think Powdersville wins that one fairly handily. Broome has had a tough season so far. I like what Powdersville is doing. Tony says they're been capitalizing on turnovers and passing. The Rocket Man, Keegan Reed, likes to drop the bombs with first down passing. Reed is a real deal. Yeah, and he's a good-sized kid back there, man. Looks the part of big-time quarterback for sure. Him, Tavius Williams, and crew are doing a great job on offense, and Coach Newberry's defense is coming along nicely for them. I think this Powdersville team is the real deal. I think they win again on Friday.
Yeah, they look really good to start the season. They're back. Hanahan, they'll be at home against Timberland. One of our Kona games of the week we talked about earlier, Newberry hosting Fairfield Central. Andrews will be at home against Waccamaw. Saluda hosting Southside Christian.
Got to give some props to the Tigers there, John. Braden Williams, a big game at quarterback last week on the ground and through the air. Coach Werner's bunch, year one for him. They play good football right now, 3-0 in the season. They are trending up, and they're looking the part for sure of a contender in 2A.
And that closes out the 3A slate.
Any 3A comments, Jerel, from you or the chat? Courtney says, Big Bear's not playing around. Best line in 3A. They're playing really good football, man. They have not missed a beat this year, it feels like. They're getting it done. Brandon says, much respect to Chapman, down by 14 in the fourth to come back and take it to overtime. Yeah, they didn't quit. They fought hard. They certainly did. Wolfman says, Westside felt like a letdown this year. It's tough to say, Wolfman, because obviously they lost a ton of talent, man. I mean, just so many D1 guys, and not just D1, but like Power 5 legit prospects off of last year's group. New freshman quarterback is playing now for them. A lot of pieces they have to kind of gel together, and they played some really good teams as well so far. Obviously, you mentioned they play Vestavia out in Alabama. They played TL Hanna. They played BHP. None of these guys are slouches. These are really good football teams. So I think they will be okay once region play comes around here back after the season. But they're in a tough spot so far. Cedric says, shout out to Ridgeview. They beat a solid team in Camden. They had great team tackling. Great Go Dogs bounce back. Yeah, Ridgeview finally got that win. Kind of got off the snide there. They played some good football. Camden, we think they're solid too, Cedric. They'll be just fine here down the stretch.
They're guys on the outside tackle well. The cornerbacks and safeties do a good job tackling for them.
Trey says Newberry Bulldogs. Trey, that's one of our games of the week, Newberry Fairfield Central. If you missed it, go back to the beginning of the show. We finished up. We talked about that game, one of our Kona games of the week between the Griffins and the Bulldogs.
That is all we got. You want to thank some friends of the program, guys, and take a quick break?
Let's do it.
Schedule your sewer drain clearing with Preferred Home Services today. If we can't clear it, it's free.
Electrical, plumbing, cooling too.
Go, 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 Preferred!
Looking for top-notch sports gear and uniforms? Look no further than First Team Sports. With 30 years of serving the Carolinas, First Team Sports is your local full-service dealer. From youth teams to colleges, we've got you covered with team uniforms, staff apparel, Letterman jackets, sports equipment, and facility branding. Visit our local store in Greenville or firstteamsc.com. Make First Team your first choice.
Founders Federal Credit Union means banking made for you. The on the go, the pick up and go, and the oh, I want to go. Because at Founders, we give you the financial tools that make every dollar work for you. For the little things to the big things. For your future and your peace of mind. We'll always stay grounded in our roots, but reaching beyond what you'd expect is where we'll always go. Find out what our members already know and enjoy a new way to bank. Relax, you're with Founders.
Let's look down to the 2A ranks now, John.
Yeah, starting with 2A, we've got Lake Marion hosting Hunter Kenner Tyler. Lamar will be at home against a 4-0 North Central team.
Surprising there for the Knights. Playing good football, a team that we usually don't consider really a contender. Looking good so far this year.
Yeah, playing good football. East Clarendon, a 4-0 team. They will travel to Lake City Friday.
Now, I do like that team. I think they're really good up front. Obviously, the skill guys are where they lack typically, but it's really strong on the lines. I think that bunch is going to be a handful for somebody here in the playoffs.
Calhoun County hosting Batesburg Leesville.
The Panthers. We got to talk about the Panthers, John. We got to talk about the Panthers. The Panthers are kind of worrying me right now.
Yeah.
They have not looked good the past couple weeks. That game against Abbeville probably not as close as what the scoreline really was. They played Little Richland last week, get beat 28-6. I am worried about Coach Lawson's bunch. Obviously, he hadn't even got into region play yet, plenty of time to figure it out. But right now, they do not look like the part of a state title contender, that's for sure.
They should be able to get right on Friday, though. 96 will be hosting Crescent. Marion is at home against Kingstree. Beaufort hosting Great Falls. Mullins on the road against Atlantic Collegiate. Central Pageland on the road against Blacksburg. Central's still 3-0 on the season.
Playing really good football for Coach Easton. Jakari Holloman's a stud on defense. Aiden Short getting it done on offense for that bunch. They've really looked good so far this year.
Eau Claire travels to Ridge Spring Monetta. St. John's hosting Academic Magnet. We talked about Pelion a little bit earlier in the program. They'll host Mid-Carolina. I like Pelion to win that game as well.
Agreed.
And then Ridgeland, they'll travel to Burke. Chesterfield is at home against Macby. Andrews at home against Waccamaw.
A good rivalry there. Two Georgetown County squads getting after it.
Columbia hosting Wagner Sally. Edisto on the road against McCormick. Phillips Simmons hosting Whale Branch. Surprising, both of these teams are just 2-2 right now. Two good squads going at it Friday there.
Yeah, a couple groups we expect some big things out of every year, it feels like. And I know they're obviously just played a bunch of non-region games so far, so plenty of time to get it right. But, yeah, surprising to see them both 2-2 this point in the season.
Then we'll see Louisville, a really good 2-2 team. They'll travel to Andrew Jackson and Bamberg Earhart hosting Woodland.
That game is intriguing to me. Almost a game of the week for us as well. Two undefeated squads. Bamberg Earhart, we worried last year with Chanston Crosby graduating. What are they going to do on offense? What's the situation going to be? Brian McMillan has stepped in, played really good football at quarterback for them, had 400-plus passing yards last week. I think 4 or 5 touchdowns, one of our players of the week. You got Charles Anthony Williams outside playing great. Marcus Cann just now getting back from some injury stuff. He's back. He's an electric athlete, a Super 75 guy for us. Jalen McGraw playing that linebacker spot is tough. They've always got defensive linemen. We know that at Bamberg Earhart, man. Coach Crosby's bunch is playing really good. Woodland, on the other hand, for Eddie Ford, a group that I feel like doesn't get talked a lot about. They're kind of just in a weird spot, really. They're kind of between Charleston and the CSRA. Like, they're just kind of just out there almost. But they have had some good football teams lately. Jameen Pinckney, Super 75 guy. I think he's a USF commit. Is that right, John and Jerel? He's a D-line or DN, Jameen Pinckney. Jerel, you know that one by chance? If he's USF, UAB, I think it's USF, correct?
South Florida, yeah.
South Florida, yeah. So I like what he brings. He's a good edge rusher for them. But I think Bamberg Earhart's just too good. I think they've got too many weapons right now, and I think they're going to win again. I like this bunch a lot, as you'll see in our polls here later on. I think Bamberg Earhart is the real deal this year. They're a really good team. Dion says Bamberg 12-7. I'm thinking more high scoring than that, Dion, but we shall see how it goes on Friday. Brandon says 2A is hard to figure out. Let's be wide open this year. And one thing I'll say about 2A too, Brandon, I think, John, you probably agree with me on this. I feel like that's one of the classes that you see a lot more cross-class non-region games in than you do some of the other ones. So it's hard to get a team like Batesburg-Leesville, a team like Clinton, like they've played a bunch of, really good schools outside of the class. So while you might take some losses, you're still a really good football team. So I think 2A is hard to figure out. Same thing with Sherrall. Sherrall's played Marlborough County, Conway, and now River Bluff. So it's hard to figure out some of these 2A squads. Chris, let's hope the Panthers get a win over Calhoun County. Some confidence going into the region play in 2 weeks. Should get it this week and next for Mid-Carolina. Needs Savvy to have a big week. Yeah, I think that this is certainly a good bounce-back spot in the next 2 weeks, Chris. Exactly right. I think Savvy Wooden will get it rolling. And once he does, look out. They're a good bunch. Jaden says Bamberg 35-7. He likes the Red Raiders big on Friday.
That is all we have for 2A, guys. Let's jump down to 1.
Let's look at the 1A ranks now, John.
Starting with the 1A slate, Baptist Hill will be hosting Bethune-Bowman. Hardyville at home against Lee Central. Scotts Branch with their big win last week over Lakeview. They'll host Branchville this week.
Scotts Branch has beat Manning and Lakeview now. Like, those are 2 really good wins for that program. And this is a team that I had this note in my sheets in the offseason when I was taking notes for the programs here. I've got a Scotts Branch 2023, John, winless, no wins.
Wow.
2024, 4-7. This year, already 3-1. Like this program is trending up. Patrick Fleming has done a fantastic job there with the Eagles, man. Love what he is doing with that program. Got them in the right direction. They've got some real playmakers. Conyers there at quarterback is special. He's electric, a really good dual threat. I like what they're bringing to the table.
That's a very impressive turnaround. Allendale Fairfax hosts C.A. Johnson. Denmark Olar on the road against an 0-4 Blackville Hilda squad. That's
with
not
a
something
new coach,
you hear every day.
with a new coach as well. Had a guy resigns last Wednesday, I think it was. So the AD stepping in to coach him now. Tough look for the Fighting Hawks. I don't know what to make of that team right now. I think Denmark Olar wins, but just a tough situation there for that group.
Yeah, a lot going on there. Beaufort at home against Great Falls. Forno Latta on the road against Green Sea Floyds.
They go to 5-0. I think they win this game as well.
They certainly should. Cross on the road against Military Magnet. Carvers Bay, 4-0 Carvers Bay team at home against Hannah Pamplico.
I like this Carvers Bay team a bunch. I've talked them up a lot, obviously. But Hannah Pamplico, a nice win last week over Lee Central. Kind of a surprise there for Coach Woodbury's bunch. Should be a fun game. I still think Carvers Bay gets to 1-0 region play. I like that Bears team.
This is a sneaky good game here. Lamar hosting North Central, a North Central team that is 4-0. We'll see how they fare in this game. We've got Columbia hosting Wagner Sally. Calhoun Falls Charter will travel to Clear Dot Charter.
John, how about this? Calhoun Falls 3-1, first time in 15 years. Coach Theus doing a fantastic job there with that group. Love what he has built with that program.
And then our last two games, we got a Kona game of the week. Lakeview hosting Johnsonville. That'll be a really good game there. And Chesterfield hosting McBee.
Any 1A comments, Jerel, from you or the chat? Allie says, hi from Wilson. Who would take the win, Blackfield or Denmark? I just got too many questions of Blackfield right now. I just don't know what to make of them. New coach and everything. I think Denmark wins this football game. I don't think either team is a whole lot better than the other. I don't believe, Allie. But I think just Blackfield Hilda, there's a little bit of turmoil right now, a little shaky right there. I think the Vikings win this football game.
I agree.
Oh, Drill, I guess you said move on. We'll move on. You're muted, by the way, for next time, but we're good. Drill, let's take a look now at the SCISA ranks and run through those ball games on Friday.
Yeah, we've got Camden Military hosting Wilson Hall. Cardinal Newman at home against Heathwood Hall.
Heathwood Hall, 2 weeks ago, they lose a tight game to Florence Christian. Last week, have a real chance to beat Hammond. Hammond has to kick a last-second, I think, field goal to win that game. Coach Zimmerman's bunch is playing good football, especially on the defensive side right now. I think they're really good. I think they beat Cardinal Newman on Friday.
Yeah, that was a good bounce back for them to be competitive in that game Friday. Ben Lippin travels to Northwood Academy. Kings Academy.
Big Lippin over Cardinal Newman last week. I think it's going to be tough against Northwood. Northwood's a good program here. I think Northwood gets a win.
I think so. Kings Academy will be hosting Cathedral Academy.
Cathedral kind of a bit of a surprise this year. They're 3-1, an 8-man playing good football. See what they got in the next couple of weeks.
Wardlaw on the road against Richard Wynn. One of our SCISA Kona game of the week here. Beaufort 5-0. Beaufort Academy hosting 3-0 Dorchester Academy. Trinity Collegiate hosting Dillon Christian. Pinewood Prep is at home against Lawrence Manning.
Lawrence Manning coming off a big rivalry win over Wilson Hall last week. Interested to see if they can put together two good showings in a row, because that's really their best game they played so far was that last week matchup, I would say. So see if they can do it back-to-back. I don't know.
Two squads looking for their first win. Augusta Christian hosting Hilton Head Prep. Bethesda Academy hosting Patrick Henry. PD Academy, 1-2 PD, hosting Carolina Academy.
Golden Eagles reeling a little bit. They need a bounce-back win here. Carolina's looking the part so far at 3-1, playing good football for Coach Rankin. You should see how this one goes over at the lawn.
Thomas Sumter is at home against Lee Academy. King Academy at home against Lawrence Academy, 2 4-0 teams in that matchup. Thomas Hayward is at home against Faith Christian. Colleton Prep at home against Clarendon Hall. Northside Christian is at home against Spartanburg Christian. Calhoun Academy hosting Andrew Jackson Academy. Hilton Head Christian will get the pleasure of hosting Hammond. Holly Hill Academy at home against Jefferson Davis.
Always a fun game there. I feel like we've seen that for the state title several times the last couple of years. Parker Kaiser had a huge game. I think he had 7 touchdowns for Holly Hill last week, playing great football for them. I think the Raiders win this one.
Florence Christian 4-0, hosting a 4-0 Williamsburg Academy. Orangeburg Prep at home against Greenwood Christian.
An interesting game here. Greenwood Christian, watch out for them. They're playing good football. They beat public school Whitmire last week. The week prior, beat public school Eau Claire. Played some really good football. Their one loss so far is to Calhoun Academy. They also defeated, I believe, John, I think they beat Calhoun Falls, the team that's 3-1 we just talked about as well. So I believe they have 3 high school league wins this year. I think the Eagles are a good bunch.
That is very impressive there.
Sorry, Hawks, not Eagles. Excuse me. Sorry, guys.
And to close it out for SCISA, Palmetto Christian hosting Cross Academy.
Any comments, Jerel, from you or the chat on the SCISA ranks, or just any comments in general before we move on to the next portion of the program? Now we got
nothing others. You got me now?
Yep. Denmark by 10, says Wolfman. That's that Denmark Blackfield Hilda matchup.
Look at this, trying to stir the pot here. We're just gonna keep moving.
Zach
on.
says, no, it's college, not a college ball show. Need to know, Kevin and the boys, it's time to bench K for the Tigers. I just wanted to win. Zach. That's all I can say.
Moving on.
Brandon says Ware Show's been impressive at 4-0. They are. Coach Dotson's bunch is playing really good football. A team that is kind of surprising, I would say, so far. Looking good. Wolfman said Blackville Hill are not what they have been in the past. For sure. I mean, you lose guys like Nas Anderson and Jaquel Holman, who's at South Carolina now last year. You're going to take a step back in 1A for sure. And now you get the issue with the coach as well. So we'll see. Justin says, told y'all South Pointe. Great call, Justin. We were dead wrong. If you missed it, we talked about South Pointe earlier in the show. Nice little video kind of calling us out on that.
That is it. Let's keep rolling, guys.
Perfect. Let's shout out some friends of the program, Jerel. We'll come back. We'll do our pick'em, our polls, and everything else here on our Week 4 preview show.
Everyday life means everyday expenses. Spend smarter with a Founders Federal Credit Union credit card, offering you low rates and big rewards where it matters most. Enjoy all the benefits of saving while using your Founders Essential MasterCard. Make every swipe and tap count with smart rates, big rewards on select cards, and no balance transfer or annual fees. Because your money should go where you want it to. That's the power of Founders Federal Credit Union. Apply today at foundersfcu.com. Relax. You're with Founders.
The George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net. Our Pick'em contest is always brought to you by Hanna Engineering. We do 11 games a week across the state. We do a season-long winner. We do a playoff run as well. And we do some pop-up prizes. This week, John, for the Week 4 winner, we have a gift card coming your way. Not for this week, not for this week's winner. Next week's winner. Make sure you do it next week. But let's look at our winners from Week 3. We had a 15-way tie? I don't even know, John, at 9 there. A lot of folks with 9. Jerel led us with 8. I had 7. John was 6. A fun week as well, but tough in Week 3. So let's look at the overall leaders now. Andrew at 33, Kyle 32, Dale 31, Joey 31, Rodney 31, then Ryan, Corey, Christy, Lee, Grant, Brett, Darian, Lance, and Jesse all at 30. Jerel and I at 29, John at 26. Long way to go. We'll start dropping your lowest week here in probably a week or so. I think, John, we talked about that. So you'll see how that shakes out. But once again, join our Pick'em contest brought to you by Hanna Engineering. It's posted on our Facebook, on our Twitter. You can reach out to us, send you a link to if you need to, whatever you do. But make sure you do it. It's a great way to keep up with games that are just outside of, your team or your region. So certainly do that. And then Week 4, your winner will receive a gift card. So we got a little tiebreaker on there as well. I think it's total points in one of the matchups. So certainly join that, be a part of that, get your name in the drawing for that. Now, our polls presented by First Team Sports. We've always said, guys, we don't love the other polls. We think this some are kind of a mess there, so we have to make our own. Jerel, I believe you've got these written out correct for our polls this week. We'll have the graphics posted tomorrow on social media. But let's start at the 5A. Let's do 5A Division I, Jerel. What do we have top 5 and receiving votes here in Week 4?
Yeah, we got Dutch Fork leading the charge. No surprise, getting all 3 first-place votes for us. Somerville coming in at second. James Island a solid third. Stratford in fourth. And Ridgeview sneaks in the 5 spot with Dorman receiving some votes as well.
A fun 5A Division One. Another team, people talked about Burns. They could be right there as well. They're playing good. I feel like we're going to find out a lot more about James Island, coming up. They haven't had the toughest schedule. They have the nice win over Gray Collegiate, of course, but we'll see how good the Trojans are. I think it's hard to go against Dutch Fork and Somerville 1-2. Somerville has the 1 loss to South Lawrence. They still play really good football outside of that. So we'll see how it shakes out. But the team I'm intrigued by is Ridgeview, a team that took Northwestern and Dutch Fork both to the brink. Got the big win over Camden last week. I like what they bring to the table. Any comments from you guys on Division One?
Yeah, I like that Ridgeview team a lot. I think they're going to be. I didn't have them in my top 5, but I think they are they're very, very good.
For sure, yeah. Glad they were able to sneak in. They've played really well. And again, playing without quarterback Trey Howard there, this is fantastic. That shows how strong this team is. But going to 5A Division 2, got a shake up here, guys. Irmo takes over the top spot with 2 first-place votes. Northwestern in second, still getting a first-place vote from someone. We have Greenwood coming in at the 3 spot, Berkeley at 4, and the Greenville Red Raiders at 5.
I had a hard time with that 5th spot. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with that. I felt solid with that first 4 group there. Some of those teams, Northwestern's got a loss. Berkeley has a loss, but Berkeley played without their quarterback in that game. Northwestern's loss is to one of the best teams in 4A and one of the best teams in the state in South Point. But yeah, that 5 spot, I didn't know if you wanted to do Greenwood or Greenville, where to go. That was the one I struggled with there is who do you put in the 5 slot?
I had a hard time with Northwestern.
Yeah, same. What do you slide them? I think that's a good South Point team, but they showed some cracks in the armor there. But I think this is a big week for Greenwood of all these teams. Big time matchup with TL Hanna. We'll learn a lot about this squad. But going to 4A, and we talked about them at length in this show, as we should, and that's South Point. They're clearly the number 1 team in 4A right now. Number 2, we got South Florence, North Augusta at 3. AC Flora is at 4. And a new number 5, Bishop England, is in the poll here with Daniel and Bluffton receiving votes.
I like it. I think there's a lot of good teams in 4A that I think could kind of round out that back end there, it felt like. But I think 4A is going to be a lot of fun. I thought about giving Midland Valley a vote. I thought about sneaking them in there at 5. Their team has played really well. That whole Region 6 is tough to figure out. I like Bishop England. I like Bluffton. Hilton Head may ever play good football as well. What do you do with that group? For sure is going to be fun. And Crestwood, a team that I had was really high on, kind of drops off after a disappointing showing last week.
Yeah, I like those top 3 a lot. And then, I think after that, you could kind of pick what you want. All right, going to 3A, guys. We got Oceanside solidly at number 1 in our poll. In the 2 spot, we have Newberry. BHP goes in the 3 spot. And tied for 4th, we have Woodruff Loris MVP with Powdersville receiving votes.
Bit of a cluster there at the back end of 3A, huh?
Hey, man, 3A is competitive, man. Again, like we mentioned last week, I think Oceanside is clear 1. Even though their schedule and their record, you can just throw that out. These guys are very, very good.
Yeah.
And I think after that, man, there's just so many good teams. And I think we could have even added some more teams to this, but I love the 3 teams tied for 4, man. It just shows how competitive these teams are.
3A is going to be a lot of fun. It's the same thing as last year. Very, very not deep, but wide, I guess, like we like to say there. But yeah, fun 3A. Let's look at 2A now, Jerel.
Yeah, but the thing, I'm going back to 3A before we move on, man. I love 3A. I was really upset with the realignment. I thought 3A was going to get gutted, and this just shows how wrong I was. This has been really a lot of fun to keep up with.
Yeah.
Going to 2A, got new number 1 here. Got Jerel at number 1 this week, receiving all 3 first-place votes. We got Strom Thurman at 2, tie for 3 with Hampton County and Fairfield Central, and Central Pageland slots in the 5 spot. Timberland and Clinton are receiving votes as well.
Yeah, interesting in 2A as well. Like we said, we're going through it, like they've played so many cross-class games. It's hard to really get a feel. Because, we moved Strom Thurman down a slot. They lost to the top, number 3 team in 4A. It's hard to do that. And then Jerel, they beat a bigger school for the second week in a row. Like, they're playing good football, so it's hard to get. And then Clinton, they get off the mat with a big win. It's tough to judge, I feel like, 2A right now. But we'll see more once these guys get into region play. That Timberland team, keep an eye on those guys. 4-0 right now, playing good football, play a bigger school again this week in Hanahan. I'm interested to see how the Wolves do in that matchup.
For sure. Let's go to 1A. No surprise again. Abbeville receiving all 3 first-place votes. We got Bamberg in the 2 slot. Big Cross at 3. Louisville at 4. And a tie for 5. The Latta Vikings in Carvers Bay. Really cool 1A poll here.
You know what's interesting to me? I think I moved Louisville up after a loss. Like, I was impressed with how they played last week. I think I may have flipped them and Cross from what I had last week. So I like what they're doing there. That was an impressive showing. Like, their 2 losses, I think, John, I think you watched. Is this to Central and Fairfield Central, right? That's who Louisville's lost to so far.
I believe so. I watched the Louisville Hunter Kenner Tyler game.
So
I believe you're right. And
I mean, their 2 losses are
really good football team too.
Yeah, 2 teams we've got in the 2, in the 5 or the 2A poll, the top 5. So they're playing good football. We know what Abbeville is, know what Bamberg is, know what Cross is. It's gonna be a lot of fun in 1A, I feel like, as well.
For sure. But yeah, those are the polls. We'll get those graphics out next week. Blame me for doing that. I've been traveling a good bit for work, so we'll make sure we get that graphic out for you guys.
They'll come out tomorrow. Be sure to share that. Tell all your friends. We'll put it on Facebook, X, and Instagram. Jerel, any comments from the chat on the polls, or before we move on to the next portion?
Oh yeah, I think Courtney's gonna is really upset with us, but we'll start with Brandon here.
Brandon said he agrees Newberry being 2. Courtney said, wow, y'all got us at 3. I mean, it's just tough. Like we said, the 3A is very hard. Like, I would feel confident putting 3 or 4 teams at number 2 spot, honestly. I think they're that good. Brandon says, exactly, Clinton scheduled tough team. Yeah, it's hard to judge them right now. I think they'll be just fine. No doubt about it, Brandon. Seneca also very good. They are. That's a team that I feel like they have almost tricked us. So we're almost a little bit snake bitten, a little bit gun shy with those guys. But I feel like they have started out really hot several years and kind of faltered down the stretch. Ruddy says, next week, tell all you need to know about Saluda. Saluda is a team. They were in the votes category, correct, Jerel? I believe
not this week, but I mean, they have definitely been. I would consider them for sure.
I did too. Saluda is playing good football. A nice win last week over a Chester bunch that is always tough. Coach Warner and the boys are playing well right now. They're going to be fun to see. They got a bigger school, Southside Christian, this week, but they should win that one, I think. And then next week, Ruddy, like you said, they got Newberry at home. Gonna be interesting to see how that one shakes out for the Tigers against the Bulldogs.
But yeah, those are the polls for the week.
Our polls, once again, brought to you by First Team Sports. Check them out for all of your sporting goods and just embroidery and T-shirt and whatnot needs there. Want to shout out our teams of the week for Preferred Home Services. We had South Pointe, the Stallions, the big win. The Jerel Braves, the win over the bigger school. BHP looking dominant on both sides of football. And then Scotts Branch with their big win as well over Lakeview. Once again, Preferred Home Services teams of the week, South Pointe, Jerel, BHP, Scotts Branch. Our players of the week insured by the Georgia Agency. We had Jazavian Currents at South Pointe, Brian McMillan at Bamberg Earhart, and Lucas Tankersley at Eastside. 3 great performances from those guys. A lot of those guys, too, playing both ways. Currents and McMillan and Tankersley all getting it done on both sides of football. Love seeing that and seeing those guys show out on both sides. Once again, our Players Elite brought to you by the George Agency. Guys, appreciate you as always joining us. Be sure to follow us here on Facebook, on Twitter /X, on Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains. That's MOVINCHAINS. MovinChains.com is our website, our podcast platform on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We do our weekly preview show 7:15 on Tuesday nights. Come join us here on Facebook and YouTube. A lot of fun when you guys comment, bring your takes, bring your thoughts. It's going to get better and better, John. It's tough the last couple of weeks as we go through the class by class schedule because you're still getting a lot of these cross class games because of the non-region. Once we get into region play, it's going to be 2A on 2A, 3A. I mean, it's going to be great to talk through. I'm looking forward to these next couple weeks for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
Going to be a lot of fun. I mentioned it next Tuesday, preview show for week 5, 7:15. We've got our all kinds of great content, coach interviews, player interviews coming out now. So make sure you follow us on all platforms. Certainly do that. Get your Movin The Chains merch. Some great hoodies right now. It's almost that time to wear hoodies, guys. So we've got a nice kind of stone color one here We've got a gray color one as well. We've got T-shirts, a black T-shirt, a gray T-shirt, navy blue, and pink. Get your T-shirts today. Order those. Support the boys. Some great toboggans, a great sticker. Looks great. Laptop, car, cup, whatever you want. 2 great toboggan colors there. And then obviously your hats, the black one you can see up there. We've got a gray front as well, a couple different options. I think we have more than this too. So just check out our social media page. You can DM us on there. You can email us info@movingchains.com. Either one of those will work. Support the boys. We'd love to have that happen. Met some folks last week at the stadium. We're like, hey, love to get some merch. It's like, guys, like, I'm on the field. I can't really help you out. I'm sorry. You just got to go order it. Go send us an email. So certainly reach out. Love to have you guys repping us as you go to games across the state. But any final thoughts, Jerel, from you or from John, as we wrap up our Week 4 preview show here?
Mine's the same thing every week. Get your butt out there. Go support these guys. Go see a game. I don't care if it's your team or not. If it's a bye week or something, go support them. They work really, really hard. So if you're listening to us on Tuesday, go out there on Thursday and Friday. I'm just excited about this week's slate as always, starting to get into region play. Games starting to matter a little bit more, but we still got those little fun, cross-class games, rivalry games, and things like that. So excited about that, and I'm just ready for another week.
Yeah, certainly some good rivalry games this week. I feel like almost every week we've got a handful of good rivalry games on the slate.
Yeah, and guys, always, don't forget, if you missed part of the show, you can go back and watch it later on. It's going to live on Facebook. It's going to live on YouTube. You can go back and check it out. If you missed our calling of games of the week, missed a class, missed a poll, whatever, you can go back and check that out later on tonight once the show kind of processes and gets ready to roll there. But going to be a lot of fun, like you said, John and Jerel. Another huge week of games, another great slate across the state, but going to be a lot of fun. Moving the Chains is always brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. For Jerel Hendricks and John Epps, I'm Kevin Thomas. This has been our Week 4 preview show here on Moving the Chains. We'll catch you guys next week.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Movin The Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin Chains on all social media platforms and visit movinchains.com today.